Welcome to the Graduate Job Podcast, your home for weekly information and inspiration to help you get the graduate job of your dreams.
Hello and welcome to the Graduate Job Podcast with your host, James Curran. The Graduate Job Podcast is your home for all things related to helping you on your journey to find that amazing job. Each episode I bring together the best minds in the industry, speaking to leading authors, graduate recruiters and career coaches who bring decades of experience into a bite-sized weekly 30-minute-ish show. Put simply, this is a show I wish I had when I graduated. Hello and welcome to the Graduate Job Podcast. I'm back with an exciting episode for you today. Not your average graduate employer and not your average job either. No sitting behind desks tapping away with a laptop for this one, as today I'm very excited to have leading low-cost airline Wizz Air join me on the show. In the episode, we discuss their rapid expansion plans and the different opportunities that they have available, from cabin crew through to the pilots at the front of the plane. We delve into all aspects of the application process, from the type of candidates they're looking for, the particular skills and competencies that you need to be brushing up on, and brilliantly, how for some of the roles you can be hired in a day. Yes, you heard that right, a one-day selection process. If you have ever thought about a career with an airline, then this is the episode for you. Now, the links to the show notes today, including a full transcript you can download, and links to everything else we discuss, can be found at graduatejobpodcast.com/Wizz Air. Now, before we start, a quick message from me. If you're listening to this episode, you are interested in getting a graduate job. Now, you don't have to go through this process by yourself, though. Get in touch with me via the show notes at graduatejobpodcast.com/Wizz Air and book yourself in for a free 30-minute coaching call where I can help you with your application, with your job search, advice, whatever it is that you need. Now, just like a listener to the show Nitesh did this week, as I gave him some help trying to find a flexible graduate job. It worked for him, and it will work for you too. So just head on over to graduatejobpodcast.com/Wizz Air. Okay, let's crack on with the show. I'm very pleased to welcome to the show today Andros Rado, Senior Cabin Crew Recruitment Manager for Wizz Air. Andros, welcome to the Graduate Job Podcast.
Hi, thank you for having me.
No, thank you for joining us. And today we're going to dive into to Wizz Air and just your interesting expansion plans that you've got going at the moment. So, do you maybe just want to kick us off? Tell the listeners a little bit more about yourself and how you came to be working for Wizz Air.
Hi, I'm Andras. As you said, I've been working for Wizz just over 4 years now, and I started at Wizz as the spokesman. Actually, I was responsible for the UK market as well. And then after almost 4 years, I joined the recruitment team. And my job is to promote the airline, actually, like a little border collie dog, drive all the interested people or even those who are still not interested in working for Wizz to our recruitment days. And lets people know that we are recruiting, that we're a company which is developing, which is hiring an immense number of people, cabin crews and pilots. I'm really enjoying my job. It's been 3 months so far in this new position. I've seen a lot of interesting markets. I've seen how markets differ from each other. I've seen how I and the team can make it a real difference in recruitment, because recruitment today, as you probably all know, is not necessarily easy. It's a pretty interesting area because a lot of companies are recruiting in the UK, outside of the UK. Thank God, the pandemic seems to be over or almost over. And the economies are ramping up, companies are ramping up. So there are a lot of open positions out in the market, and I'm trying to convince everybody that Wizz Air is the place to come to work.
Perfect. And that will be music to the ears of the listeners, just hearing that you're rapidly expanding and looking for brilliant employees, which I'm sure many of them are listening today. So maybe, do you want to just kick us off with a little bit about Wizz as a company? So I'm sure many listeners will have heard of them, will have seen of them, probably might have flown in them themselves around Europe. But do you want to maybe just explain a little bit about Wizz, where you're based, and where you fly to, specifically in the UK.
The airline Wizz Air was established almost exactly 18 years ago. So the first flight took off in May 18 years ago. And since a lot of things have happened, I think one of the most important for our UK listeners is that Wizz Air UK has been established a few years ago, which is a UK airline, an official UK airline, just like any other airlines flying out from the UK. We currently have 4 bases in the UK. Our biggest one is London Luton. Then we have one base in London Gatwick. We have a base in Doncaster Sheffield Airport, and the newest opening is Cardiff. So we fly out of these 4 bases from the UK. So whoever will work for us will need to fly from these locations. It's a pretty dynamically expanding airline in the UK, just as its kind of mother company, Wizz Air Hungary. Wizz Air Hungary actually covers not only Hungary, but many other countries, which all aircraft fly under the Hungarian AOC and within Europe, but Wizz Air UK flies under the British flag.
Excellent. And I was looking for some cheap flights, and I saw you had some amazing deals with Wizz actually you could get to Abu Dhabi really cheap, which was one that I was tempted by. So you do from your, I think it was might have been via Hungary, you do sort of fly sort of to the edges of Europe and the Middle East as well, don't you know?
Exactly, and one of our other airlines is Wizz Air Abu Dhabi. So we have Wizz Air Abu Dhabi, we have Wizz Air UK, and we have Wizz Air Hungary. And maybe it would be interesting to many of the listeners to know is that we are about to get a new aircraft. It's called Airbus A320 XLR. It's extra long range within a year. So by hopefully next year spring we'll have this XLR, and that's interesting because that will be able to fly longer than our current aircraft. It will be able to cover 8 hours. So that will be, as you said, we'll be able to fly between the edges of our current network. So it will be able to fly from London to Abu Dhabi, for example.
Amazing. And 8 hours from those bases in the UK can get you lots of interesting places. So yeah,
exactly.
That will be interesting now. So let's maybe go through the different roles that you're recruiting for then. So let's maybe start with cabin crew specifically. What types of cabin crew roles are you looking for?
First of all, we're looking for over 200 cabin crew members in the UK now because of our massive expansion in the country. We are looking for people who have cabin crew experience, and of course for all people who are unexperienced in aviation, because we have our own cabin crew training. It's a pretty rigorous, pretty long training, actually, one of the hardest and most rigorous in the industry. It's a 6 weeks training for those who have no flying experience, and it's somewhat shorter, 4 weeks for those who have flying experience. But of course, they need to get familiar with the Wizz way of doing things.
Excellent. And what does let's maybe go through then cabin crew. What would a sort of standard day look like for cabin crew for people who might not have thought about applying for that type of role?
I'm actually pretty sad that I'm not 20 years old, because if I was, I would be probably joining Wizz as a cabin crew, because they have a very, very interesting life. They have a very dynamic life. They have a very flexible schedule, and they have their duty time is maximized by law, by regulations, and they can only fly 100 hours per rolling 30 days. That gives them the security that they have the proper rest time, and it's dynamic. It depends on what flight you have. You have a flight in the morning, maybe, then you wake up early, then you see the sunrise, or you can sleep a bit more until maybe 8, because if you have a flight at 10 o'clock or 11ish, then you don't have to be at the airport so early. Or you might also have an evening duty, which requires you to be at the airport only in the afternoon. But besides this, I think the destinations we fly to from the UK are very, very exciting. We fly to many Mediterranean destinations. We fly to Eastern European destinations. We fly to Northern European destinations. I think London is the most flown destination from all over our network. So I think the most of our flights land in London these days. And the life of a cabin crew is in a way very strict because you have to be at the airport on time. You cannot be late, although you have your schedule for a month ahead, so you can plan your private life. You know when and where you're going to be flying the next month. That gives you the kind of security, the kind of stability you need. On the other hand, you work with different people on each and every flight, so there's no fixed crew members list on every single flight. You meet all kinds of different and interesting passengers, and you get to see a bit of the destination. You breathe the air of Lanzarote or Tenerife or Mallorca, for example, during the turnaround time, which is not long. I have to tell you, it's around half an hour, 45 minutes. And then you come back, you fly back to your home base, should it be any of these 4 bases I've previously mentioned in the UK. And then the good thing about it is that you can sleep at home every single day. So I used to tell people that cabin crew members at Wizz are like bees. They fly out in the morning, they do their duties, and they come back to their hive in the evening. I think it gives people a lot of stability. You can have a much better life-work balance than at other airlines, for example, where you have to do layovers all over the world, spend days away from your family. Well, here with us, I think it's easier. It's much more manageable. You can have a private life because you come home every single day.
Brilliant. I liked that bee analogy. I think that's a really good one. But I know from having flown with Wizz and some of their rivals, yeah, those turnarounds aren't are nice and short. So yeah, it certainly is hard work once you land. You're not you've got to quickly turn the plane around to get the new passengers on. But from speaking to some of the clients I coach, that lifestyle where you're not just sat in front of a computer screen all day long, for 8 hours a day, just looking at a screen or on Zoom calls, it's more interesting. You're meeting passengers, you're going to different places. It's for people who want something different than just sitting in the same 4 walls or same office, as I said, on a computer all day. Yeah, this is a very different career.
Exactly, and furthermore, I think it's very rare that you finish your job whenever you finish, and then you're done. You leave the plane, you leave the airport, and you're done for the day. You don't have to read emails. You won't get a call from your boss. Hey, could you please prepare that presentation for me? Could you come earlier tomorrow? Could you leave later today? It's a very fixed pattern. It's a very fixed duty time, and under no circumstances are we extending this duty time above the legal possibilities.
And you mentioned you're hiring 200 people. I'm guessing, given that the main bases are London based, the majority of people then are going to be in London, with sort of smaller amounts in Doncaster and Cardiff.
Yes, exactly. So we need more people in London, around London, and then of course we are hiring for our Cardiff and Doncaster bases. But if you wish, or if you live in Doncaster, for example, we can offer you a job opportunity like out of base flying or a temporary work in London if you're flexible enough. And then when we need more people in Doncaster, you're okay to move back.
Excellent. And in terms of the training, you mentioned 6 weeks. Is that in London again, or is that sort of around the country?
Yes, the training is in London. The majority of the training is in London because we fly under the British flag. That's why we need to have our UK-based training. However, we have a training center in Budapest. It's a very modern, really cutting-edge technology training center with a cabin mock-up for the pilots. We We also have simulators, 3 full motion simulators and 1 fixed simulator. So there are some elements of the training which you must do in Budapest in the training center. But I think the more than two thirds of the training is in the UK, is based in the UK.
Excellent. And one question that I know my listeners always want me to ask when I speak with companies is, of course, around the salary and benefits. So what would sort of the salary and some of the perks be like for cabin crew at Wizz?
First of all, people hired and under training get a basic salary in the UK, which I think is a huge advantage compared to many other companies, especially airlines. So you don't have to spare money from your previous earnings for those 6 or 4 weeks, but you get a basic salary. It's of course not the full salary you would get when you work for Wizz, but I think it's a fair amount of money. Once you join Wizz Air, you automatically become a junior cabin attendant. Then after 9 months, if you're doing your thing right, then you can automatically upgrade to cabin attendant. And if you want to become a senior cabin attendant, you can apply after minimum 1 year of service and or 500 flown hours. Upgrade is pretty quick at Wizz, both at cabin attendant and pilot positions, because we give a lot of opportunity to our colleagues to fly. So it's not our objective to let people do the same work, sit in the right-hand seat, for example, for senior officer or for first officers, but we want them to get an upgrade as soon as they can and as soon as they are ready. Of course, safety and the exams and passing the exams is a prerequisite. So never can safety be compromised. But if a person is able to get an upgrade, both as a cabin attendant or a pilot, we're happy to give it to them, and we're happy to give them the pilot or the senior cabin attendant position. But this is not the end of the career path at Wizz, because if you are a senior cabin attendant, you can become a trainer, you can become a recruitment assessor, you can become a Wizz Air ambassador, you can become the face of the brand. If you're a pilot, you can become a training pilot, you can be a line trainer, you can be a ground trainer. So there are almost unlimited opportunities. If you're a cabin crew, you can become a pilot. We have a cabin crew to pilot program, which is supported by the airline highly. You can move to the office. So really, opportunities are almost endless. Wizz Air has recently introduced its biggest ever pay rise in the UK for its crew members, which made the charming position even more charming, because I think with this pay rise, our wages, our salaries are really, really competitive now within the industry. And for such a great amount of money with such good perks, bonus perks, I think it is worth giving it a second thought if you want to join Wizz, because it's a company which provides you with great work-life balance, which maximizes the number of hours you can work, you can fly during the month, and which gives you a lot of free time, and which gives you a lot of opportunity actually to shine, and gives you a lot of opportunities to see the world.
Excellent. And in terms of, so I previously worked for an airline, and one of the key perks was certainly getting the discounted flights around the network. Is that the same at Wizz as one of the benefits?
Yes, at Wizz we have a very, very charming scheme for these perks. Let me give you some examples. You get unlimited number of confirmed discounted employee tickets, which means that if you book a ticket, it's yours. It doesn't matter if it's Christmas Eve, doesn't matter if it's June the 6th, doesn't matter if it's, I don't know, May. If you buy it, it's yours. So you won't get a standby ticket, but you get a confirmed ticket. You can have 5 travel partners, which means that they get cheaper tickets as well. Also, I have to highlight that these tickets are also confirmed once they're booked. They get the the price 25% off the price of the Wizz Air discount ticket price for the same flight. And then we get a great number of free tickets, absolutely free tickets. We usually get them twice a year when we celebrate our birthday. I mean, the company celebrates its birthday and for the Christmas season. These tickets come with bags with priority, and you can use it yourself. You can give it to your family members. You can give it to your friends, whoever you want to give it, and it's exchangeable. I mean, you can cancel it and then rebook it if your plans change. So we get a lot of tickets, almost for free, or actually for free. I think besides a pretty good salary, these tickets account for thousands and thousands of pounds worth of.
Excellent. That's a nice little bonus there, and yeah, plenty of places you can whiz to and go and see around Europe. So, and possibly further afield coming soon. So who knows? So yeah, lots of benefits for working for an airline there. Maybe before we then jump across to the application process, if we just touch on sort of the folks at the front of the plane. You mentioned pilots. Are you looking for as many pilots, Wizz, across the UK?
We're looking for a bit less pilots than a cabin crew, as the ratio on the flight is also different. But we're looking for tens of pilots as well. We are mainly looking for experienced Airbus pilots. Because we need them quickly to start flying. So after the conversion training, the Wizz Air specific conversion training, they can be ready to start within a few months as well.
Okay, excellent. So Andres, let's maybe move on then to the application process itself. So you're looking for 200 amazing cabin crew. What is it you look for from applicants? What makes a Wizz cabin crew?
We are really proud of our customer service, and I think that makes a huge difference with us, because we are a customer-focused airline. Apart from having, of course, brand new aircraft delivered from the Airbus factory, we think that the real difference is made by our cabin crew members. We're looking for people who really love to deal with people, who really love to take care of them, who really are flexible, who love this flexible lifestyle we offer, who don't want to sit in an office 8 to 10 hours at the same office every single day, but who want to see the world, who want to travel, who want to fly, who want to see the sun every single day, because above the clouds, it's always shiny. So we're looking for people who are dedicated to customer service, and who are happy to take care of people.
Excellent. And yeah, it is a one of the key parts of the job is if you're not a people person, then it's probably not going to be the role for you with that. But no, that definitely makes sense. And in terms then of the application process itself, are there any particular requirements you need before people can apply? So is there any academic requirements or language requirements on your part?
Well, language requirements in the UK is easy because you have to speak English. It's sometimes a challenge in other markets, but in the UK, I think that's not a question. Besides that, you need to reach 210 centimeters barefoot. This is because of a security issue. You need to be able to close the overhead compartment in any case, even if you're out of your shoes. You need to have a high school degree. So nothing more is needed. You need to be able to swim 50 meters unattended. You should have no tattoos, which cannot be covered by the uniform. So no tattoos, please, on the hands, no tattoos on the neck, on the face. But other than that, you can cover it with trousers or with a long sleeve shirt. Basically, I think these are the basic requirements I would highlight. Besides, of course, as you also mentioned, being a people person, because without that, I don't think it is worth trying.
Definitely. And what does the application process look like then? How would listeners go about applying?
We have an online registration, and then we usually hold physical sessions in our base cities mainly. Sometimes we do some online recruitment as well, but I think it's better for both the applicant and ourselves to meet each other in person. It gives a much different much better picture of both of the company and of the applicant. So the application itself is easy. You just apply online, and then you appear at the events of your choice. And then at the event itself, we have 4 rounds. We have one introduction round. It's an individual introduction round where you have to introduce yourself, tell us briefly within a few minutes why you're the best. Why do you think you're the best candidate for us? Then if you pass that section, then we're off to a situational play. It's an individual situational play. You need to think and act as a cabin crew already. We don't need you to know our procedures, but we just need to see how you start solving a problem with a passenger. It's interesting to see how different people have different angles of solving the same problem. Then if you pass the second round, then it's a group exercise where we actually test what kind of personality you have, whether you're a leader, whether you're a follower. It's one is not worse or better than the other. We just really like to see how people react in different situations. If you can work in a team, that's actually very important to see people if they're able to work in a team or not, because it's a teamwork on the aircraft. It's absolutely a teamwork. It's a smaller team in the flight deck, and it's a somewhat bigger team of 4 and 5 people in the cabin, but it's definitely a teamwork within the cockpit and the cabin, and between the flight deck and the cabin, of course. And then the last round is an individual deeper interview where we really get into the personality of the people, really ask some more detailed question. And of course, that's the place and that's the time when the applicants can also ask a lot of questions from us.
Wow, that's going to be a busy old day going through those 4 different stages. But yeah, sounds really exciting. And
sorry, it's a very busy day, but you can get hired in the day. So I think in today's world, it's a huge advantage that you can get through an application process within a few hours, within a day, and you get to know whether you're hired or not within a day.
Completely agree. That is amazing. From some of the other graduate recruiters that I've spoken to on the show, you are easily talking about a 5-month process, probably 4 months at the quickest to go through from the initial online application through to actually getting to the assessment center and then actually getting an offer. I mean, one candidate I was working with, it took them 4 weeks just to let them know post-assessment center whether they'd got the job. So to find out within a day, to go through all the stages and to get an offer is brilliant. So that's really good. Now let's just maybe break down those individual stages. Would all candidates go through all stages, or do you do a sort of X Factor style cull halfway through the different stages if people don't make it past your sort of benchmark for the individual exercises?
We do an X Factor like selection process. So we only tell people who pass after each stage. So yes, there are cases when people don't make it to the second round, but they don't make it to the third or the fourth round. Yes, we only continue with the ones, we only keep them there who have a chance to make it through to the end.
Okay, that makes sense. So let's then maybe start with the the situational play, sort of the role play as you mentioned. What advice would you give people to be able to perform at their best at this stage? I know often sort of the role play situation is one that people can find quite daunting. What advice would you give people to prepare?
I would definitely tell people to think with the mind of a customer, of a passenger, because we usually play the route passenger in different kinds of situations. And the candidates have to solve the situation, have to calm down the passenger, have to calm down, have to solve the situation itself so that it's both good for the airline. It doesn't jeopardize any safety issues, doesn't bring any safety issues, and the passenger is also happy with the solution. So I definitely think that if you sit on an aircraft and you face a similar situation, which you might get during our interview or our situational play, think of a passenger's mind. Think with your own mind. What would you expect a cabin crew member to do, to say to you? How would you like them to solve the situation? And that's going to be, I think, the winning solution, because someday we are crew members, someday we are passengers, and I fly a lot with other airlines as well, and I see some good examples and some definitely bad examples how people or how cabin crew members at other airlines treat passenger or have treated me.
Yep. No, that's good advice there. And as you said, you're not expecting people to know all of your policies and the rules and regulations back to front, but approaching it from a customer's perspective, you can't really go wrong there. So
exactly.
Good advice. Moving on then to the group exercise. And again, I know from the clients I coach, this is one that can hold a little bit of trepidation for people in terms of the group exercise. You mentioned that you're looking for different aspects, people who are leaders, people who are followers. Any advice here for how people can stand out? What separates the people who are going to make it through this stage from the people who aren't?
I think that the most important thing here is, and that's what we're looking for, is that, as I said earlier, this is aviation is a teamwork. Working as a cabin crew is a teamwork. Working in the aircraft is a teamwork. So we're looking for team players. Of course, if you're a senior cabin attendant, you need to decide, or if you're a captain, you need to make the final call in different situations. But you need to listen to your colleagues. You need to cooperate with your colleagues. You need to talk to your colleagues. You need to listen to the passengers before you make any final calls. So you don't disembark a passenger just because your colleague said they behaved unruly. You don't necessarily need to believe a passenger right away. You don't necessarily need to believe your colleague right away. You need to look into the situation. You need to find out how you can solve it. What's the best way to calm the passenger? What's the best way to manage your colleague if that's needed? So we're looking for people. We're looking for actually leaders, but leaders who can work and who can work with and listen to the team members. And we're looking for people who are maybe just followers, but they know the procedures. They have their voice. They can let their opinions be heard by the colleagues. So we're looking at the dynamics of these team exercises, and if someone is overly confident, tries to make the decision on their own without listening to the colleagues or the other candidates, I think that raises a red flag. On the other hand, I would say that don't try to behave differently than you would behave normally. We don't want the theater there. We don't want to be biased by behavior you won't be able to continue to do during work. We want honesty. We want to see who you really are. And actually, during the fourth stage, when one would think that, okay, if you pass 4 stages and there's only one single kind of chat or interview situation with us, there's not much of a chance you would fail. But actually, some of the people whose real personality comes out there. We saw people who were really not behaving properly during that 4th stage, and they were referring back to the situational play, how others behaved, for example, and that was another big red flag for us.
Excellent. No, it's always interesting, the group dynamic, having assessed them myself, just seeing how people behave, and almost people who go into it thinking they're on an episode of The Apprentice and that you need to, be the sort of alpha character, taking charge of the situation, which often isn't what companies are looking for. As you mentioned, it's it's a group, and you're going to be working in a team, and it's those team dynamics that you're really looking for.
Exactly.
Now, moving on then to the final stage, the individual interview. You said that often, people can almost let their guard down at this stage. Again, same question then. What separates the good candidates here from the ones who might not make it at this final hurdle?
I think it's the whole job itself is pretty unique in the job market, because as we talked about this earlier, you have a number of jobs where you can sit in an office. Doesn't matter if it's downtown London, if it's downtown Doncaster, if it's in the suburbs, if it's A or B company, but you move there, you go, you sit on the tram on the train in the morning, you arrive to your work, you spend 8, 10, 12 hours, and you go home. This is not a job where where this happens. This is a very dynamic job, and with all its dynamism, you need to be very precise. You need to arrive on time, as mentioned earlier. You need to have perfect grooming. You need to be dedicated to having such type of a job, such type of a lifestyle, actually, because this requires another lifestyle. It's not a 9 to 5. It's not a Monday to Friday job. It's a very flexible job. You might be enjoying your day off on a Wednesday. You might be enjoying your afternoon because you had a morning flight from 6 till, let's say, 12. But then you might be needed on board on Christmas Eve. You might be needed on board on New Year's Eve, on your birthday. So we're looking for people who really think of themselves as cabin attendants, who really want to join an airline, want to join Wizz, want to have this very unique lifestyle. And of course, as mentioned before, if you're a team player, you're welcome. If you're rather an individual, a lone star, then this might not be the job for you.
Excellent. Some good advice there. And as you said, flexibility is the key. This is not a standard 9 to 5, and probably it's one of the main things that will attract a lot of people is that it's not that standard, not a 9 to 5. So yeah, brilliant advice there. So as we move to the end of the interview, just conscious of time, one final question then. What advice what would you say to someone who's listened to this and they're currently on the fence about applying to Wizz? What final thing would you say to sort of, as why they should apply?
I would tell them to apply, and I would tell them to apply because as I said earlier, this is a company where you have, first of all, a very fast career advancement opportunity, and you can have a lot of options within Wizz Air if you feel like you would move on. You from a cabin crew, you can become a senior cabin crew, you can become a trainer, you can start your pilot career, your pilot training with us within the company. You can move to our office. I've seen a number of people moving from cabin operations to our office. I've seen a lot of. I'm actually working within the recruitment team with a lot of active cabin crew members who, besides flying, are doing these recruitment events. They're assessors. They enjoy their time. They're moving around within the UK. They're moving around within Europe, meeting new candidates, helping them to get hired to Wizz. So I see no risk in applying. I see rather a risk in not applying, because if you get hired here, you will get a great salary. You will get a great deal for a ticket. Airline tickets, and you will have the opportunity to develop yourself, to grow yourself within the company, and become even more successful pretty soon.
Excellent. Thank you, Andres. And listeners, you'll be able to find a full transcript and links to everything we discussed today, including links to how you can apply and get yourself in the application process over at graduatejobpodcast.com/Wizz Air. Now, Andres, let's move to our weekly staple questions. So 3 questions I ask each guest on the show, and I'm interested in your responses to these. And first up is, what one book would you recommend that our listeners should read? It doesn't have to be recruitment related, doesn't have to be aviation related. What one book would you recommend needs to be on their bookshelf?
So it's probably one of the hardest questions for me, because I wouldn't be able to recommend one single book. I really like to watch films about nature and read books about nature. And actually, one of my favorite books was Gerald Darrell's book when I was a kid, and that, I think, just stuck. I just stuck with it, and I from time to time I open it. But I equally enjoy reading Sir David Attenborough's books and watching his newest films. They're just stunning, and I think there's no more beautiful thing than nature.
Excellent. Good recommendations there, and yep, I will link to those in the show notes so you can get copies for yourselves, listeners. Now, next question: what website or internet resource would you recommend, Andres?
I generally read news sites and economic sites because having been a spokesperson and being in the media business still a bit, I'm really thirsty for news all the time. So whenever I read the net, I like 90% of the time I go for the news.
Excellent. And a particular news site that you like?
I wouldn't say one. There are a lot of Hungarian ones and some international ones which I check. I think I'm rather interested in objective news telling. So I try to choose the ones which are not biased by any political parties or any ideology.
Always a challenge these days, but no, good tips there. And final question then: what one tip would you give listeners to help them on their job search today?
Know what you want to do, search for that type of job or industry actually, and be brave to apply. You have nothing to lose, and if you find a good job, go hold on to it. Do it with great pleasure, with enthusiasm. And I think that doing the minimum is not enough today. You have to always walk the extra mile wherever you work, whatever you do.
Excellent. Andres, thank you so much for appearing on the Graduate Job Podcast. What's the best way that people can find out about you and also about applying for Wizz Air?
I am on LinkedIn, so feel free to contact me over LinkedIn, and you can check careers.wizzair.com. We have all the information you might need about recruitment, about open days, about applying to Wizz. Just click on it and hope to see you soon.
Andres, thank you so much for joining me on the Graduate Job Podcast.
Thank you.
There you go. Many thanks again to Andres for his time and sharing about Wizz Air today. Doesn't that sound much more exciting than sitting behind a desk, staring at a computer screen all day, messing around with Excel? You've got plenty of your life to do that, so have a think if this could be the career for you. You're certainly going to be gaining amazing transferable skills and a range of brilliant answers to competency questions that will stand you in good stead no matter what you go on to do. So if you are interested in applying, check out the show notes at graduatejobpodcast.com/WizzAir, where you can find all the links to everything we discussed today and a full transcript you can download so you can have all of Andres's top tips up your sleeve. If you would like some help with your application, interview prep, assessment centre, guidance for Wizz Air, or for any other company you're applying to, then I'm your man. Check out the show notes where you can find links to booking a free 30-minute coaching call with yours truly, where you can cover any topic you like. Completely free, no strings attached. What have you got to lose? So head to graduatejobpodcast.com/WizzAir and you can find everything there. So that is everything from me. I hope you enjoyed the episode today, but more importantly, I hope you use it and apply it. See you next week.